Good morning, Beacon, and happy Mother's Day. Hope that you all are doing well this morning. I invite you to take a moment to say hello in our chat on YouTube and Facebook. Let us know you're here. And then just take another moment to welcome someone else that you see in the chat. I know how good it is for me just to see your names in the chat and know that you are here. As I said earlier, happy Mother's Day from all of us at Beacon. We lift up and celebrate this day, all who mother, all who parent, all who guide future generations. My grandmother, Doris, used to say, "Mothers are a sorry lot." Typically, she'd say this with a twinkle in her eyes as one of her 4 daughters complained about something that she had done. There is no doubt that mothering is tough. It can be tough when our kids are toddlers, tough when they're teenagers, tough even after they've left home. No mama of any sort should go it alone. And that's what I've witnessed at Beacon, how our community can form around to help our mamas in the largest sense of that role, help you know that you're not alone in the struggle and in the celebration. So today, in our Mother's Day service, we really wanted to center laughter and the importance of not taking ourselves too seriously, laughing at ourselves, laughing at this thing called life, laughing together with one another as a way of healing and growing. And I have to tell you that there is one person who I've had a lot of laughter with, and that is Helen Kerr. Helen, thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
And I always love Helen's backdrops. It's the most beautiful thing ever. Helen is a Beacon member, a worship associate, and the creator of our monthly Vespers service that centers our relationship with Earth. Helen, thanks so much for all that you do at Beacon. And I have a question for you.
Right.
What is your first memory of Beacon, or the Unitarian Church in Summit, as it was called when I think you first came?
I first came on October 10th, 1993.
Not everybody remembers the date, Helen. That's so impressive. Why do you remember the date?
It was my birthday. And I had avoided coming. I lived in Summit at the time, and I had avoided coming for 9 years because I voted in general elections at our Unitarian house up the street. And it was such a mess that I concluded that there was something wrong with these people, that they would allow their children to go to Sunday school in such a wreck. But for some reason, maybe because I got tired of running races on Sunday and talking about sneakers, I thought I have to enlarge my acquaintance. So I'm going to the Unitarian Church in Summit this Sunday on my birthday. And to compound it, my best friend called me up apropos of nothing, without any kind of precedent, and said, you should go to the Unitarian Church in Summit on Sunday. So, I mean, I had no choice.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
It's the same.
I attended every week after that, and on the fourth Sunday, I joined.
Wow. Well, I have to say, what's so funny about that story is then, of course, you went on to lead our renovation project. So you made it so that we actually got rid of that building that people shouldn't have had children in, and created the beautiful building that we are in now. So thank you for your leadership and just the laughter through the years. I mean, and when you lead an expansion project like that, a renovation like that, you have to know how to laugh at yourself, because otherwise you'd probably drown yourself crying. So, which is hilarious, because I have an announcement for the larger congregation, and that is that we are going to have a special meeting of our congregation on May 23rd at 11:15 a.m. via Zoom, and it is regarding our expansion update. All of our voting members should have received an email announcement of this meeting, as well as a letter of explanation. If you did not, please reach out to our administrator, Brian at summitbeacon.org. This is now a special message for our voting members. In order to be able to vote at this meeting, you have to have a financial pledge on file and make a payment towards it 7 days before the meeting. This is according to our bylaws. If you have any questions or doubts, email our executive director, Tuli Patel, at tuli@summitbeacon.org. My formal announcement is finished from our virtual pulpit. And Helen, just to transition, speaking of annual meetings and special meetings, last fall at a congregational meeting, we voted on our shared covenant. Each month, a member of our community leads us in the reading of that covenant. So to the larger community out there, we invite each of you to speak the promises that we've made to one another aloud with Helen. Or for those of you out here, just close your eyes and listen to the words and feel the impact upon you. Hold on one second while we pull up the covenant. There we go.
Love guides this congregation. Love calls us to daily acts of liberation grounded in anti-racism. We affirm that we live in the complexity of intersectionality and that building healthy and loving relationships is a spiritual practice requiring both inward and outward focus. Thus, we covenant to listen deeply, speak compassionately, express gratitude, and embrace our unique diversity. We endeavor to communicate honestly and with compassion, particularly when we are in conflict. When we hurt one another, we will try to make amends, forgive, and reconnect with an intent to repair, change, and grow. Our purpose is to be radically inclusive, feed the human spirit, and heal the world. In celebration of the common purpose that unites us, and with the aspiration of beloved community before us, we will do our best to abide by this covenant.
And so let our shared covenant center us this morning, center us in love as we worship together. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where you want to be. And when you find yourself in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Mother's Day, a perfect day to celebrate Earth. Today, we light our chalice with words from a poem by May Swenson. Take Earth for your own large room, and the floor of Earth, carpeted with sunlight and hung round with silver wind, for your dancing place.
An Ode to Mamas by me, Tuli Patel. This Mother's Day, do you have a joke to tell? To make those mamas laugh? To make those who mother, our papas, grandmas, cousins, sisters, brothers, laugh so hard that their bellies jiggle? All of them are mamas. Brown mamas, black mamas, Asian mama, immigrant mamas, sick mamas, recovering mamas. Maybe it's a knock-knock joke. Maybe you found it on the internet. Maybe it goes like this. Why is a computer so smart? Because it listens to its motherboard. Get it? Not good enough. Try again. Bob's mother had 4 children. They were named North, South, East. What was the last one? West? Nope, Bob. Those laughing, belly jiggling mamas, wiping noses and bottoms, driving and singing, tired and happy watching us grow. Still no belly jiggling laughs? Keep going. Gotta make that laughter come bubbling out. Maybe you made a special breakfast this morning. Hope you didn't eat it all. Maybe you picked a flower or made a card. What's a laughing mama sound like? Maybe it sounds like this. You know that when mamas laugh, you will too, and so much will feel right with the world.
Each Sunday at Beacon, we invite you to join in our ritual of candle lighting. A candle may be for a sorrow in your life, a loss, a worry, or your concern for someone who is suffering. A candle may be to celebrate a joy, a new addition to your family, a problem solved, a milestone in your life or that of a loved one. Your candle may be in honor of lives lost or scarred by violence, racism, and injustice, or a candle for our struggling earth. We invite you to type in the chat who or what is in your heart this morning as you light a candle in your home. With our theme of healing this month, our candle of witness is in celebration of those living out loud, the change makers. Jasmine Johnson is an MD, a physician, activist, and mother of 2. In her work, she cares for women with pregnancy complications and works to bring attention to racial injustice in healthcare, like the fact that Black women are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women, regardless of education or socioeconomic status. She says, one of the common threads for many Black women who have experienced adverse maternal health outcomes is that they were not listened to by their healthcare providers. Structural and societal racism prevents equity in healthcare. We need to train the future of medicine in anti-racism work. May this time of shared community nourish your soul.
We begin our time of meditation, quiet, and reflection this morning on the theme of the month, healing. We begin, as we usually do, with awareness. We settle in, as we usually do, taking the time to become aware of where we are, recognizing what is happening for us. Noticing our feet, our hands, our spines. We might be standing in a grocery line or driving in a car as we are listening to this. Any place, any time, we can access periods of meditation and focus. Sometimes we believe that in order to be happy, we have to cultivate practices that develop focus. But the opposite is also true, that when we are happy, focus is easier. A large part of healing is letting go. And there can be no better practice for letting go than the breath. And that is because with each in-breath and out-breath, the breath is past. We no longer think about it. It is an embodiment of impermanence. You breathe in, you breathe out, the breath is gone. Another breath in, another breath out. We let go. Breathing in, breathing out. We are content. Breathing in, breathing out. We are not clinging. Breathing in, breathing out. We know things are impermanent. Breathing in, breathing out. We are at ease. Breathing in, breathing out. We are healed. If the breath is challenged or compromised, we can work with sensations in the body, allowing them to rise and fall, noticing the impermanence of pain or discomfort or joy as it arises and falls away. All on the journey towards healing, we know that things will always change and that we have an opportunity to be healed. Here ends our meditation for this morning.
Hello, Beacon. My name is Jonas Mbala, and I'm an 8th grader at Roosevelt Middle School in Westfield, New Jersey.
And my name is Sammy Korean, and I'm a middle schooler at Milburn Middle School in Short Hills, New Jersey.
How long have we known each other, Sammy?
Man, I don't know, but it's definitely been a long time. Our parents have photos of us when we were barely babies. So yeah, it's definitely been a long, long time. We've done so many things together. I mean, we've been in family dinners, birthdays, we've done years of RE, and we've been in summer camps together.
And that's what we wanted to talk to you about this morning. Unirondack in upstate New York, in upstate New York, New York's Adirondack Mountains.
And Murray Grove and Lenoka Harbor on the Jersey Shore.
This morning's offering will be shared with both camp centers for the work that they do supporting you, children, and youth.
Murray Grove and Unirondack do more than offer just summer-only camps. Throughout the year, both camp centers offer family camps and retreats for people of all ages. Personally, I've been camping at the Grove since elementary school, I'd say. And for me, that's been a really valuable experience, getting to bond and strengthen relationships with some people that I already know and other people from different congregations through activities like Gaga, swimming, roasting marshmallows over a fire at night, things like that. I found those really beneficial, and they had a positive impact on my childhood.
I've been camping at Unirondack for a few years. One of the things I like best about Unirondack is that the whole environment is very comforting, and it also is very introductive. One thing that I personally also enjoy is that it's very open. Like, you can be any gender, any race, and you will be accepted there. That's one thing why I like it. And then also one thing that I love about it is that it's also, it has a lot of programs with the arts, like theater, art, dancing, and a lot of other stuff. This is my favorite thing about Unirondack.
UU camps recognize the uniqueness of each camper. They'll accept you if you're creative, you're loud and expressive, you're shy and timid, hesitant, nerdy, whatever you are. So there really are places of personal safety and a place where all different types of people can flourish.
Unirondack and Murray Grove are places where silliness is accepted, and learning about yourself and what you are capable of is fun.
UU camp and conference centers are an invaluable and treasured resource in the shared mission of advancing the UU movement and making a positive difference in the lives of UU individuals.
And for all those gifts and so much more, today's offering will now be generously given and gratefully received.
Thank you to Sammy and Jonah for sharing their love of Murray Grove and Unirondack with us. And thank you for your generosity in supporting these transformative experiences of our youth, both past, present, and future. Let me begin with a question for you. Beacon, what's your hardest day of the week? For me, it's Tuesdays, 11 hours of near back-to-back meetings. To cope, I've developed a 5 p.m. ritual. I get up from my desk and I go for a walk. On this particular Tuesday evening, my teenage daughters decided to come with me. And a few blocks away from our house, we stopped to let a father and a young daughter pass us with their dog. I recognized him as one of our former neighbors near our old house. Truth be told, I didn't know him that well. I didn't even know his name. We were more hello neighbors as we passed one another. He and his partner had bought the fixer-upper down the street, and over the 15 years that we lived in that house, I watched with amazement and inspiration as they redid every room in the house. At one point, we had a short interaction where I congratulated them on completing their house, and at that point, I learned a little bit more about their story. They had just welcomed a new baby into their home, and I remember how cool her name was, Nova. As we crossed their path that Tuesday evening, I said, "Oh, hey, how are you? It looks like you got a dog." He was genuinely nice and open, but I could tell he didn't remember me. So I refreshed his memory, saying, "Hey, we used to live near you." I asked after their house and remembered how cool their daughter's name was. We said goodbye and went on our way when suddenly a little light went off in my head. I turned to my daughters and said, "Did I just come off as a stalker?" Alice turned to me. "You think?" And then she made her eyes real big and said, "I've been watching you for years." Well, at that point, we lost it. The three of us were in stitches for 15 solid minutes as Alice reenacted the entire conversation. And with each belly laugh, I could feel the tension of Tuesday melt from my body. I needed that. Beloved, when was the last time you had a belly laugh on a Tuesday? Well, on Monday, the governor of New Jersey and the governors of the surrounding states announced that we had entered a new phase of the pandemic, emergence. On May 19th, we are returning to 100% capacity. How are we feeling, Beacon? Joy, elation, liberation, confusion, anxiety, fear, maybe all of these things at once. I am hearing a lot of very earnest conversations from all of us homeschooled epidemiologists. And I am wondering, what if we could just place the mindset of earnestness aside? I mean, I think it's important. It's good to be careful. We are ridiculously careful. But I wonder if we could just place that aside for a moment and embrace a mindset of humor. How would that change our experience as we emerge from our turtle shells and out into the world? Humor is a well-placed tool that humanity has used throughout history to get through the toughest of times. Look no further than Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. How could humor, we wonder, be a feature in a concentration camp? Yet humor showed up. In fact, it helped them survive. Comedian Steve Mazin says that laughter is a reset button for your soul. It's a reset button. It's not a cure. It's not even the best medicine. No, he reminds us, the best medicine is penicillin. Humor, though, humor is a reset button. It shifts your energy, just like it did for me that Tuesday evening. It shifted my energy from tight to open and relaxed. Steve was one of the comedians who traveled to war-torn Afghanistan several times to tell jokes to the troops. One day, Steve and his fellow comedians arrived at one particular camp where the troops had just returned at 5 a.m. that morning after a particular grueling night, a night in which they had witnessed many horrors and lost fellow friends. Their commanding officer knew that those troops needed laughter more than they needed a shower or even sleep. So it was mandatory for the officers to attend. The comedians were more than a little dubious. The soldiers' faces as they walked in revealed their fatigue and their trauma. One particular soldier he had a look on his face as if he were still on the battlefield, still in the fight. Steve was not sure this was going to work. Nevertheless, he made it his mission to give it his all. He met them where they were. He had been in the Navy, and so he started with his best military jokes. 20 minutes in, the soldiers had gone from weary and dejected to smiling and even a few harumphs to belly laughter, holding their sides and falling over one another, clapping each other on the back. Everyone, except that one soldier. As Steve stepped down, he pulled the next comedian aside and said, that one soldier, that's your mission. Finally, after 40 minutes, the soldier cracked a smile. By the end, he had tears rolling down his face. He walked up to the comedians afterwards and hugged them with profound gratitude. He had left his humanity on the battlefield. He had forgotten how to laugh. Steve and his fellow comedians hadn't cured him, but they brought his humanity back to him, if only for a moment. He was able to reclaim himself. In some Samuel Beckett novel, I can't remember because my brain still remembers all the details about my neighbor. In some Samuel Beckett novel, one of the characters talks about the 3 different kinds of laughter. One is laughing at things that, aren't good. The second is laughing at things that aren't true. But the ultimate laughter is laughing at things that are just downright bad, says the character. Vulture magazine writer Taylor Guerin asked a group of Black comedians from Nicole Byer and Jay Jordan to Charla Lurston and Jasmine Pierce, "What's so funny?" Taylor asked about being Black. Nicole Byer summed it up, "I don't know if there's anything funny about being Black. The question is literally insane. I think Black people are good at finding the humor in the wild stuff that goes with being Black." Except she didn't use the word stuff. Jasmine Pierce agreed with Byer, saying, "Being Black in a white world is the joke. We just have to write it down." This kind of humor is the laugh of all laughs, says Beckett's character, for it allows you to uncover the terrible truths of our world in a way that won't kill you. Often, humor is the only way that we're allowed to talk about those terrible truths. Writer Mark McCleary lifts up the Irish poet Seamus Heaney and a line from one of his most famous poems. It goes, "Whatever you say nothing. Don't talk about what is happening between us, the Catholics and the Protestants. Don't talk about the violence or the loss or the anger or the trauma. Keep your head down, keep your mouth shut, with one exception, humor. And a very dark humor at that. Laughing at things that you probably shouldn't be laughing at," says Mark, "not only names what can't be said, it also allows people to connect with one another, connecting when they can't connect with one another any other way." Georgian novelist Fazil Ishkender says, "In order to attain a genuine sense of humor, I believe one has to descend into the depths of pessimism. And only when one has peered into the murky abyss and convinced oneself that here too there is nothing, can one make one's way haltingly back from the abyss. The traces," he says, "of this return trip will be humor, genuine humor. Emergence requires us to make our way back from the abyss. Humor," says Ishkender, "will be our ride." Emilie Nagoski says that humor offers us distance from our big feelings. Think about it. When Emilie is teaching her students about sex, something that we all love to talk about, they come into the classroom tense with their turtle shields on, carrying their very internalized, very personal, very moralistic, very judgmental feelings. And therefore, Emilie uses humor as a way to loosen them up, make them take those turtle shells off and open themselves up to new ways of learning. So I have a question for you. For the adults, what was the role of humor in your life when you were growing up? Think about it. For the kids and teenagers, how does laughter and humor show up in your life right now? It's important that we ask this question because there are all sorts of rules that we've internalized about how we can laugh. It's kind of silly to think about how we learn to laugh because babies at 6 months old are laughing. We all record the first laugh we hear. But we have to uncover these rules because the rules are often absurd. For Emilie Nagoski, there was a rule in her family that nothing could be funny because there is a chance that you could offend someone. Anyone out there learn that rule? As I've learned more about the culture of whiteness in my anti-racism work, I've learned how many of us have internalized the rules of perfection and avoiding conflict or upsetting anyone at all costs. Liberation has gifted me with the ability to laugh at myself, which I truly believe is a superpower. It's one thing to be able to laugh at yourself, though. It's another thing entirely to have your mom laugh at you. Throughout my many years at Beacon, I've learned my fair share of funny Gary stories from our board member Carol about her son, Gary. They always leave me in stitches, and I am amazed at how Carol has the ability to transform something seemingly terrible into humor. It is her superpower. Like, for instance, when Gary was in a car accident involving multiple surgeries that rebuilt Gary's bottom jaw and replaced 5 teeth. The accident was not funny, and yet there was humor in the aftermath. One day, Carol was at work in a meeting when her cell phone rang. It was Gary. "Mom, I'm okay, but I'm in the emergency room. I swallowed a screwdriver." Okay, first, let me just pause to say, just take that sentence in, all right? I swallowed a screwdriver. Carol, what? Gary, well, I was at the dentist and he was screwing in the teeth to the post of the implant. So Carol hung up the phone and told her colleagues, "I have to run, Gary swallowed a screwdriver." Which, again, as an aside, I will say wins the award for the funniest excuse for getting out of any meeting I have ever heard. My son swallowed a screwdriver. When Carol arrived at the ER, she asked him, "What happened?" "Well, the dentist dropped the screwdriver and I gulped." And then there was this sort of awkward silence between them. "Well, what happened in the ER?" Carol said. Gary said they took an X-ray and said not to worry because it was in his stomach, and the advice was to eat lots of fiber and no contact sports. Eat lots of fiber and no contact sports. At that point, Carol started laughing. For how can you not? "It's not funny, Mom. Believe me, Gary," she said. "This is a good story." This is Carol's superpower, one that we need to embrace, beloved. Loretta LaRoche is a humorist who writes a blog called Get a Life. I'm telling you, Carol could write that blog. She says, if you think the worst and you get the worst, if you think the worst and get the worst, you suffer twice. If you think the best and get the worst, you only suffer once. Each human being thinks an average of 60,000 thoughts per day, she says, most of which are only messages steeped in our fears. We start and end our day catastrophizing and awfulizing. And I have to say, Carol had a choice to awfulize the situation. It wasn't necessarily a funny situation, but she was able to laugh at the absurdity. What a gift to give yourself. What a gift to give your child. So Beacon, what if we put some distance between ourselves and our thoughts? What if we gain that distance through humor? Can you imagine how the world would change, what it would be like if we used humor to walk us back from the abyss? Imagine. Now I invite you to practice it. Imagine it and then practice it. Take your worst day, your Tuesday, and figure out who and what makes you laugh. Weave that laughter, weave those interactions into your day. Make laughter, not fear, your prioritizing. Writer Mark McCleary imagines laughter like a cloak that you put on. It just wraps itself around you and you can snuggle in it. So Beacon, maybe this time as we emerge from our turtle shells, we will take them off and instead put on our superhero capes and embrace the superpower of laughter. May it be so. Amen.
Come unto me, sing in my heart. hope you found some inspiration, a spark of possibility, or some joy to carry you through the coming week. To all who mother or have mothered someone else, we offer gratitude this day. Thank you for the gifts you've given to those placed in your care. For those who have been mothered, lift up gratitude for what you've been given. It is a blessing to know that you have been, or currently are, embraced by the love of someone who came before you, someone outside yourself, a love that is sweeter and more tender than any you've ever known, because it's built upon generations of mothers who came before us. May we always feel connected to and surrounded by this ancestral cocoon of love. As we go forth from this time and place, let us be inspired by their courage, their wisdom, and their dreams. Honor them by boldly continuing the work of justice, equity, and peace for all beings on this planet. Take their lessons and spread them to everyone you meet. Be the beacon, in whatever part of this world that you touch. It so desperately needs us to be part of the light, to be people who take the fruits of this community and together turn them into a balm to heal the world. Live boldly, love mightily, so that we can create that beloved community in this lifetime. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.